Hey guys, Bottom25 here, playing FSX once again. Today we'll be flying an Air New Zealand DC-10 30, or 30. Let's get the... there, we've got that engine up and running. Should have engine 2 starting, engine 2 being tail mounted. Now this won't be like my kind of regular flights where I take off from one place and land to another. This will be I almost got a transatlantic flight, because that makes perfect sense. No, this... I'm not sure how to kind of read that, so I'm just going to set that to something. Set a speed of 240 knots. But we'll be flying from Auckland to Auckland via the South Pole. Well, not the South Pole, the Antarctic. GPS. Okay, I've got all engines on, I think. Have nav hold on, have altitude hold on. Well, lights, let's get the overhead. That seems that's all we have. See, no other overhead. Just ignore that because that horrifies me. Pull that down. No, not landing lights. Nav lights on. No. Here's your local light on. Well, that doesn't change a thing. That's the taxi light then. Then I'll close that window. Right, now let's get going. On a side note, no pushback. Let's just set the flaps. Set a 1, 2. There we are. This will be interesting. Especially considering sometimes this aircraft just decides to not turn. That nose gear looks far too long and skinny, to tell you the truth. See, I don't think a nose wheel should be able to turn that much. I think it seems they need to do like less aggressive turns. These were actual flights operated by Air New Zealand with DCs. I just adjust the throttle, have the auto throttle on. Don't. Now look, if I were to set speed hold now, I'm going to turn off, it's going to say it's at whatever speed. Let's set that back to 240. Also, please note, landing this is going to be interesting because I've not yet figured out what the proper landing speed is. What the approach speed I should set. I'm sorry, this thing can't be taxied too well, so I apologize. I'm just gonna zoom away to the end of the runway. This altogether is going to be an 11-hour flight. It's the real one. Was 11 hours. Set takeoff thrust. Release. Oh yeah. Landing lights.
On taxiway. On taxiway.
Nope, this is definitely a runway. make some minor adjustments to stay on the runway. I'm going to assume V1, V2, rotate. Positive rate, gear up, speed hold 240. Is that telling us to descend or climb? Wait, what's that? Could begin flap retraction as we climb out here. Wait a second, if I set this to say that. So I'm trying to figure out how the vertical speed works. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure this thing out. So about 10, what's the vertical speed? Okay, flaps up. The DC-10 like on one of these flights. Well, actually, no. I'll save that story until we're actually over the Antarctic. There we go. Slat retraction. Where climate approximately? That's 2,000. Let's just show you. I'm just going to show you. Yeah, this thing does in fact have a virtual cockpit. That won't work. So I'm just going to change frequency so I don't have to listen to that ADIS. So I put this Auckland International to Auckland Tower. There we go. Well, let me set that to 15 just for a moment. Sorry. Alright, so set it to 15 and see if that means a 15-degree pitch up attitude. No, it seems to be. No, okay then. See you guys. See you once we're over the Antarctic, and we'll commence sightseeing then. See you then. Okay, guys, we're actually over Antarctica now. You can see the mainland there. Now, what we are going to do is descend to say 2,000 feet because I think the weather... Oh, not 0. We're not going to land. That... Okay, I did promise that I'll tell you guys about this. Alright. About the Mount Erebus disaster. Right, outside, top down. Oh yeah, let me just show you something on the map real quick. That was how much it took to turn. Like, that's how the story is. But Mount Erebus is on that island there. So I'm going to have to... Like, you can see it's actually that island. I'm quickly going to set... Yeah, the thing with this is basically... The problem with flying at the South Pole, or Antarctica, is... Alright, sorry, I'm still quite new to this aircraft. is that the magnetic compass does not work. But yeah, so Erebus is outside top W. Yeah, we're heading towards the island with Mount Erebus on it. I'm just gonna say I kind of messed up the route planning, and I only realized when I was about halfway in, and I kind of planned it backwards. What I mean by that is I kind of planned it so that we kind of flew out a bit to the east when we took off first. We flew over Christchurch, then headed out over an island, and then so on and so forth. That was actually supposed to be on the way back. Right. Set speed 260, because I think that was the actual kind of sightseeing speed. Because they couldn't lower the flaps for fear of them freezing out. Originally there were plans to have flights actually that land in Antarctica with a DC-10. Not a DC-10, sorry, a DC-8. But those plans were rejected because they were supposed to land at McMurdo Station, which is an ice runway. And that's something that first off, the DC-10 couldn't do. It would just break the ice, apparently. I think I might just see if there's an anti-ice thing. And if there is, I intend to turn it on. Just hit the landing lights on. No, that's the yaw dampers. Slow. Those are the fire. But we don't have a fire. And if we did, it would just freeze solid anyway. Okay, we're overspeeding. Problem solved. I'm turning... Yeah, we're kind of falling fairly quickly. Yeah, I turned the kind of anti-ice thing on. I reduced the speed brake, have the engine spooled back a bit. But yeah, so basically after Air New Zealand was told, yeah, no, you can't fly here, or you can't land here, and they said, alright then, we'll just fly over. And they were extremely popular. That is until Air New Zealand Flight 901, or 901. You know, I think I may pause... Actually, you know what, I'm going to pause this video again. Just simply because we're still quite a bit away from Airbus, so I'm just going to... we're quite a bit away from Airbus, which is kind of where I want to do most of the talking. I'm going to pause the video, and I'll see you guys. And I'll shoot. But yeah, see you then. Right, sorry guys, we're not at Airbus, but just as I quit the video, we now have these snow things. Oh yes, spoilers in, spoilers in. Spoilers in! Alright, we're still doing fine, we're not going to stall out. Okay, that's certainly interesting. Right, I think... just to be safe, I'm going to climb a bit. That looks cool. Horrifying, but cool. No pun intended. Yeah, lost, but I much prefer that view. But yeah, the thing is, if... Another reason is they couldn't risk extending the flaps because, you know, they wouldn't... If they extended the flaps, they wouldn't have enough fuel to fly back. I mean, this route was already at the limits of what the DC-10 could do. That seems to... I'm just deliberately climbing out a fair bit. I'm curious if this is real-world weather, so I'm curious if if this is the actual weather in Antarctica right now. And I really hope we don't have a repeat of the Airbus incident. Oh, there we go. And what's our altitude? 2800. I know the aircraft's nose is going to drop a small bit. I want to stay above the icing conditions. Yeah, pause the video here. I just thought I'd show you guys that bit of a blizzard type thing. So yeah, see you guys once we get close to Airbus, and then I'll explain about, I almost called it Aer Lingus. Why do I keep wanting to call it Aer Lingus? Flight 901. Air New Zealand Flight 901. See you then. Okay guys, we are approaching the island that Mount Erebus is on, so I believe that now is a good time to tell you about Air New Zealand Flight 901, which of course was DC-10, I believe 30, which is probably the longest range variant, like this one here, probably the same livery and all, which crashed into Mount Erebus, as you can tell. It's a really complicated issue, but we've got a fair bit of time. As you can see, that's the island. That one there is Erebus. So, yeah, I'm going to stick to the side of it, but I'll be ready to do a go around. And let's lose that 800 feet. See if there's a bit of so Air New Zealand had these, I almost called them intercontinental, now they have these Antarctic flights going on, where, people would pay, I'm pretty sure it was quite a lot of money to fly down to the Antarctic. On Flight 901, I think Peter Mulgrew or something was like, or something along those lines was his name. He had been to the Antarctic previously, and so he was there kind of as a guide, I guess you could say. Oh my god, those are mountains. I am now reconsidering my decision of descending, and I'm going to consider climbing back up. But no, we've got paying passengers on board. They paid good money to see this. Granted, the weather's not really cooperating. So a second. Outside top down view for a moment. So that's that mountain there. So we're almost above, I'm not going to say dry land, but above ice, probably. And yeah, there's New Zealand. We took off from there. I think that's easily a transatlantic journey. And I still need to fly back there. Yeah, so that's Mount Erebus and that's Mount Terror. I believe that's called Ross Island. So is that? Because in that case, yeah, I am going to start climbing. And speed her up. Start climbing, mate. We need to get out of there. Let's see if we can give her a bit more power. Yeah, I'm. Oh yeah, we really do need to climb out here with these mountains. And this was an actual danger faced by all of these Air New Zealand Antarctic flights. As you can see, the visibility is not that great, and they couldn't descend below 16,000 feet if the visibility was below, I believe, 20 miles or something along those lines. But what happened with the Air New Zealand Flight 901 is it was supposed to be the first of two flights in November, I believe, because they had to fly down there in the southern summer so they'd get the good lighting conditions. Please tell me we haven't. Damn it! I said 10,000. What are you waiting for? Climb down. We're in no serious risk of collision, but I'm not taking any chances. We are climbing out. I'm sorry to the passenger. And there's Erebus. I'm... And we've got disappearing mountains as well. Nope, there it is. Like, oh, yeah. I'm not hallucinating. That mountain that is just popping in and out. See, the taller one is Mount Erebus. I think. Should we be worried about that mountain just nearly directly ahead of us, or will we be above that? Oh no, that's just that. We'll be way above that. Alright, so what happened was there was some... Like, oh, do I still have the book down here? No, I don't. Okay. What happened was the flight plan kind of was from Auckland, you know, down to... Basically down here, and they were supposed to enter... I'm going to go into top-down view. I think they were supposed to enter kind of here-ish, or the crew thought they were here. Something. I think they thought they were here, and so they began to do kind of like orbits. So I think what they did was a turn like that, and then that. That's what they thought, and then they thought they would just continue like that. But what they were actually doing, they're flying in like this, and this, and this, until they hit the mountain. And it turned out what caused the disaster is they kind of changed, as Air New Zealand kind of changed the flight plan without informing the pilots. And also there was kind of a rule that the pilots had to have been to the Antarctic previously, and the flight crew aboard Air New Zealand Flight 901, I think only Peter Mulgrew had been, or maybe another one. And there were 2 first officers and flight engineers. Yeah, I remember one place and still needed flight engineers. That panel horrifies me. Seriously. Like, seriously, that looks scary, the amount of stuff there. And most aircraft don't have that position, of course. And what ended up happening was there were kind of cloud conditions, but, you know, the thing is, to the crew, like, as they were approaching, they could see Erebus off to their left, so they thought, oh yeah, we're going in the right direction. Then Erebus completely disappeared. This is some kind of phenomenon that was actually experienced by helicopter pilots going to the crash site, where what happened was one of the pilots actually said that as they were approaching, like while they were far out, they could see Erebus, but once they approached, it disappeared, and it looked to him like there was distant horizon. Like, they only realized, I think one of the crew stated that he didn't feel comfortable and wanted to do a right turn, or something, like they needed to do something. They needed to turn in a direction, like maybe do like a 180 or something. And so that crew member wanted to do a right turn. The captain said, no, we're going to do a left turn. I'm not sure if it was the other way around. There's Erebus. I think I'll just disable heading hold so I can control the heading of the aircraft a bit. I'm staying above those clouds so I don't make the same mistake they did. And what ended up happening then was, you know, they began the turn in the opposite direction, or they were about to begin the turn until the GPWS, or for those of you not too familiar with aviation, the ground proximity warning system started going, you know, I have to do my best to... Should I check if this thing has a GPWS? To those of you who don't know what I'm implying by that, what I'm implying is, should I nosedive the aircraft? I just do nice slow turns so that the passengers don't get sick. I think we're actually going to get closer to Erebus, which is something that flight crew didn't want to do. I believe they were at 2,000 feet. But I'm actually curious Do we have any radio down here? No, fall back. Wait, Auckland Centre. Really? So that's the nearest tower, NZPG. So they can see us. Right. Just deliberately turn off all the lights and now turn them all on again. So where is... Okay, you can see there's our shadow actually below us. So NZPG. Okay, so yeah, NZPG is actually McMurdo Station. Only traffic. So if you were actually flying here, it seems... Yeah, there it is. There are these runways here. Should I attempt a touch and go, just as some Irish people say, for the crack? No, we're far too high for that. I cannot risk nosediving that much. Once again, we're making a bit of a turn towards Airbus. Right, so what happened then was basically the GPWS, or ground proximity warning system, started going off. And basically, whoop, whoop, pull, terrain, pull, up. Now that surprised the crew because they, this is the middle of McMurdo Sound. There shouldn't be anything. But, at that point they kind of had to comply, so they began the go-around procedures. I think the last words said by the crew was the captain saying, "Go around power, please." Go around power being full power. And then, the GPWS started, started going, this is on repeat until it feels like a collision isn't going to happen. You see, it kept going, it actually did, whoop, whoop, terrain, pull. And that was the moment of disaster, the moment of impact. That was when the Air New Zealand DC-10 collided with NCIR, collided with whatchamacallit, collided with the mountain. Of course, everyone on board was killed almost instantly, and somewhat counterintuitively, the most forward part of the wreckage was actually the tail. Because, basically the way they were oriented like that, and the mountain was kind of oriented like that. So they made contact, the aircraft kind of collapsed like kind of so, and so the wing mounted two engines stopped producing thrust first, but the tail mounted engine was still producing thrust, so that kind of catapulted the tail section forwards. And after several hours of no radio contact, New Zealand and people all around the world were keeping track of the news to see what happened to this plane. But after a few hours, they said the plane would have run out of fuel by this point. So they either had to ditch, or there's McMurdo Station. In reality, we couldn't land there. Like in FSX, if I wanted, then I can. If it says there's air traffic, okay, we're literally in the middle of nowhere. We're the nearest aircraft for hundreds or perhaps thousands of... Oh my gosh, that's huge. That mountain is absolutely massive. So they had no hope of climbing out of that. They impacted on the other side, and they couldn't contact McMurdo because, they wanted to contact them on high frequency or HF radio. But that was impossible because HF can only work with direct line of sight. So they could only maintain communications with VHF, which has quite a bit of static. Does that kind of bounce off the upper layers of the atmosphere or something? That was what it says in my book about this. Well, not just this disaster, but these aviation disasters. Yeah, in these weather conditions, I believe we could descend further, but I'm not too intent on descending into an active volcano, if you know what I mean. And to stop down, you can see that's Airbus, and yeah, you know, if you want, I'm just giving you the basics here. If you want more info, should I just have the wing lever on that? So the wing leveler, it's like, so if I just begin a turn, say, it won't let me begin a turn. Alright, look, I can begin a turn, but as soon as I let go, the wings are going to go level. Hence the name, wing leveler. Off begins just a slow turn. What about the autopilot? Oh, that's another bad thing. You can see we don't really have a good gauge of how high up we are. Like, the sun is due north, which is, you know, for someone from the northern hemisphere, that is completely alien to me. I thought the sun would be a bit lower, considering it's the Antarctic and all. Yeah, so, hold on a minute. I'm going to turn to the task, yeah. Hide menu bar, taskbar, same thing. Take us. Take a screenshot. No. Let's continue. No. Minimize. Screenshot. And then. There we go. I think I pressed F12, like F12 double so fast that either Bandicam didn't realize that I told it to stop that, you know, F12 is also the button, not the pause recording button for my Bandicam. Yeah, so that's Mount Airbus. The Air New Zealand aircraft kind of crashed into the slopes of Airbus. Right, slow back to not 240, 260, because I believe 252 was the safe speed. Because of course, you know, they could not deploy the flaps. You can see they crash into the slopes kind of somewhere there-ish. And let's just slow down a bit quicker. Look at the wing droop just disappear immediately. So I'll just show you what a basic toga procedure is. Let's just say we were to receive a warning, like a toga warning. I'm going to quickly turn auto throttle off and autopilot off. I'll turn them back on later. So let's just say we were just flying level. Then, you know, the GPWS started going off. What we would do is we would set power to toga, which is full power, and then we would pull up and basically just climb out. Basically just power. Oh well, I think you might not do it quite that viciously, but I think you get my point. Autopilot on auto throttle. Speed hold, set speed 290 knots, and we'll climb out then. Yeah guys, I'll pause the video here and I'll see you guys to begin our approach back into Auckland. See you guys then. Okay guys, we're approaching Auckland. So we're going to begin flap deployment. We may be moving a bit too quickly, but it should be fine. I'll just disable the heading hold. The ATC was being a bit of a pain, so to speak. But there's Auckland. Oh, we took off in the day, we landed in the day. What time? Well, we took off at 4. Yeah, it almost took an entire half a day. Continue lowering the flaps now as we slowly turn towards the runway. Slowly. We're flying with... We're not doing an Auckland sightseeing tour. Although while I was just test flying this DC-10 to kind of get a feel for it, something quite interesting ended up happening. I just wanted to do like a low-speed flypast of Auckland. What I ended up doing was basically flying by Auckland with the wheels, I'd say, inches above the water. No, we don't really need that. There we go. Right, so inches above the water and just flew clean under a bridge with no control input. I think I'm like either the autopilot trimmed it perfectly or something. I think I may have had auto throttle on. I'm pretty sure ground effect played into it. Just casually just came under a bridge like it's no big deal. You know, this isn't even a Russian aircraft or a Russian airline. You can see this version of the DC-10, the DC-1030. I'm sorry, those just really bug me. You can see there's that central landing gear. That's something that is also possessed by the I almost called it the predecessor now, the kind of the future development. I'm not sure how you would call it, like what you would call the MD-11. But yeah, it's possessed by the MD-11 as well. And this wasn't there in the early versions of the DC-10, the DC-10, so, and then there was the DC-1020 and the DC-1030. You can see this engine is mounted in the tail, just simply in the tail, whereas, say, like the main competitor, the L1011 TriStar, had an S-duct. I'm doing hand gestures with the webcam off. That's marvelous. At least I know the microphone is on. At least I hope. That off. My aircraft now. This is going to be an interesting landing. I can tell you that right now. Yeah, so the reason McDonnell Douglas decided to place that engine in the tail is for easier access to, yeah, it was just basically the simpler option, and I think it might require less maintenance, and the reason Lockheed Martin decided to put, yeah, fun fact, the L-1011 was the last commercial aircraft ever made by Lockheed Martin, because they were having problems with military contracts, so they decided, yeah, you know what, they're looking for a wide body, we'll give them a wide body. You know, DC-10 was the second wide body, 747 was the first. They needed a smaller wide body than 7.4, and you know, the L-1011 came third. But what ended up happening was that problems with the Rolls-Royce power plants for the L-1011 caused it to be delayed several years. So the DC-10 got off the ground both figuratively and literally for the TriStar. However, you know, I've never heard of a rocket being launched from the other side of a DC-10. I am, of course, referring to NASA's Pegasus launch vehicle, which is carried, well, NASA's Orbital ATK's Pegasus launch vehicle, which is carried up to, I think, almost the cruising altitude of one of these aircraft before, you know, in the underbelly of an L-1011 before being dropped. Coming in with full flaps. Just a little thing to note about the flap setup of the, I almost called it an MD-11, the DC-10, is that they're single slot flaps. Basically it means it's just one massive slab of metal. Or, you know, that's one basic way of putting it.
Approaching 05, right.
I am just going to do a bit of a side slip. Yeah, DC-10 early on quite a bad reputation. For example, there was a United Airlines flight that crashed in Sioux City after the number 2 engine's fan blade, the fan disc, blew apart. It just said bye-bye and kind of sodded off. Yeah, I'm having to side slip to get aligned. The other thing is you can, at this airport, you can stop the aircraft.
05, right.
Even if you fly for more than half the runway. I'm speaking out of experience because once again, I'm coming at it. I'm always coming at it from that angle. Seriously, I'm always a bit too far to the right. Set idle. Flare. Don't, no. Too much flare. Too much flare. See what I mean? We're floating. And now flare. Maybe that was a bit of a hard landing, but it's gonna do. Oh, we're doing a bit of a tail stand. I'm gonna keep that nose up just because I can, really. Spoilers in, flaps up, give her some speed. I'm gonna turn off here and park somewhere. That's kind of my logic here. And I'm gonna shut her down. I don't know if I can actually still have fuel on board. Just if you need to slow down a small bit. Which I think using the engines to steer is a good idea. Well, it's a viable idea, I'd say, instead. And not brake. See what I mean? Okay, we might rear-end an MD-80, but... see what I mean? It worked. Because you can see, we can put the center engine to whatever thrust setting we want, so if we need to move a bit more quickly. Yeah, I'm actually curious, could this thing taxi on one engine? Theoretically. I mean, well... don't boop the building, don't... oh, you booped the building, you just... zoom it off. Need to go into this view. And there you go, we've got the engines spooling down. Let's open the doors, which for some reason slide up. And once again, those infamous cargo doors. I'm saying infamous because that Turkish Airlines plane flying from Paris had a failure of those. And that door opens. Yep, you can see the control surfaces starting to droop. Let's open the rest of the doors. So yeah, we're next to an MD-80, 737, another 73. That's it. We were over there when we took off. So all engines completely off. No, they've still got a bit of rotation. No, I can still control the vertical stabilizer. I have no... well, I've got spoilers, but that's all. And it happened one time that, you know, the same fan disk rupture that I was talking about earlier, that the DC-10 lost all three hydraulic systems. That seems like good. Alright, well anyway guys, I'm Bottom25, that was an Antarctic Flight with a New Zealand DC-10. I'm Bottom25, goodbye.